Hello, everybody, and welcome to another student success interview with the wonderful Kasiah. Kasiah is one of the OGs of Six Figure Design Club, and she's smashed it since coming in. She is Squarespace designer, and she came from I think it was a fine art background, and went all in on Squarespace. I think it was like 18 months ago now, and it's just like a duck to water. It's been insane. So, Kasiah, if you want to give yourself a quick intro, talk to us a little bit about where you were before you joined the course and then where you are today.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me. I'm Kasiah. I make radiant websites for happy visionaries of all industries. And where I was before I started, I think that I'll go way, way back for you first, but I've always known that I really needed to love my work and see that it was doing something good in the world, or at least for someone. Otherwise, I was like, I knew I wasn't going to do it. Like I wouldn't last very long. And so my first like real career was I had a yoga studio. And I was like, I'm going to like teach this yoga and people are going to, come because they want to. It's not like going to the dentist because you have to. And it was great. And it was really, really lovely. And I was starting to realize that like my favorite part, it lasted like a good 10 years before I realized this. But then I was like, I really like designing these flyers and making my yoga studio's website the most. So it was kind of a turning point between loving the teaching and the community of it, and then just kind of wanting to sit at my desk and like dig into something. And so but the one thing that the yoga studio gave me this feeling is that I'm good at business. It was like I can do business, I can be an entrepreneur. And so 10 years ago now, I sold the yoga studio, and I stayed on for a couple of years, but I started learning more design, and I enrolled in a school called Skill Crush, and they are wonderful. They have like a design track and a developer track, and you can do both tracks at the time. And so I started learning about design. And then a couple of years later, I was like, I've already sold the studio. I had like a big breakup. I had this big kind of life shakeup where I realized like, meh, I'm not really tethered to anything keeping me here. And so I packed up my Subaru and I took my dog Paco, who's still here, and we lived on the road for a better part of a year. And I had my little laptop and I had a solar panel and I hotspotted my phone, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to go in on this design stuff. And at that time I was doing like really anything and everything design. I was like, you want a flyer? I'll make it. Do you want a portrait? I'll draw it. I could do a lot of fine art things. But it was harder to do the fine art stuff on the road, because truly just like living in a car and like pulling out your folding table on public land in the middle of nowhere with like no people, no bathrooms, just like, so it was hard to pull out like a whole suite of colored pencils and things. So at that time I was doing like a lot of just computer work, and it was great because I could do it anywhere. And then in end of 2018, I landed in Colorado, which is like Western United States. And I had this idea again. I was like, well, I'll just like get there and have this thriving career all of a sudden. And it was not such, it's like I got there and I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any friends. I was still doing like, I want to say like a sporadic amount of design work, but it wasn't enough to really keep me going. So I just had this idea that like, well, once you land somewhere, you'll get a great job or you'll start a great business, or, something really easy will happen because I'm good at business, like I had the yoga studio. But as it turns out, then of course, like pandemic happened, and it was a really good time to be doing computer work and design work and things like that. I'd already been doing Squarespace. My first yoga studio website was on Squarespace. So I was like really into Squarespace. But I guess I didn't know, like, I was really kind of working in a silo. So I didn't know that you guys were all out there, like we could help each other, and that there were all these resources. So to go way back to your question, when I first met you, I was kind of in like a pretty not great financial situation. It like years and years and years had gone by, and I kept thinking like, well, I really got to get it together and get this like career started. And then that's when you popped up on my Instagram. And so it was quite good timing because it was exactly what I was already doing. I already loved Squarespace. I was like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to learn another platform. So it was kind of just like the perfect match of what I needed.
That is so interesting, like listening to your story. I had no idea about like any of this. So I just want to, this is me being purely like nosy, but yoga studio, I didn't realize like you A had one and B sold one. Like that's sick. Like actually like being acquired. Uh, that's nuts. I love that. Where were you initially?
New Jersey, which is East Coast of the United States.
Ah, okay. So I mean, were you literally like living in the car driving across the country?
Yeah, it was. I had a little bed in the back, and my dog is like 45 pounds, so it was just him and me and a computer, and we were, pretty self-sufficient.
That's sick. I had no idea. I love that. And what made you pick Colorado?
Um, it's just really beautiful here. Colorado is known for its like very mountainous. I love trail running. I didn't know anything about snow sports, but everyone here skis and snowboards. So I was like 36 when I got here. And I was like, same thing. I'm like, I'm good at things. I'm going to learn to snowboard. And it's just like learning anything like that as an adult is a mess and extremely humbling. But while I was not building a career for all those years, I did get to play on a snowboard for a little bit. I got to do a lot of trail running and just exploring the beautiful area. But it's funny, I was trying not to choose Colorado because the big breakup I had before I left, the ex ended up in Denver, which is the capital. I think it's the capital. Is that the capital? Oh gosh. Anyway, I was like, oh, I'll just pick another state. Like, I'll go somewhere else. But it was so beautiful, and he ended up being a good friend. So I'm glad that we're Colorado family now. But yeah, at first I was thinking I'd go even further west and maybe further northwest and end up in Oregon or something. But I just kind of kept coming back, for one thing or another. Either I had to be here for something, and it just captured my heart.
That's amazing. I mean, completely off Squarespace topic, but I always find these go off on random tangents. These because I learned things I never even knew, which is cool. Like
It's fun.
I had it in my head that you were like from Colorado. I don't know why. Um, but
It's
like when I
the
saw
better
you,
reputation than being from New Jersey, so I won't
well,
fight.
fair, fair. But then I remember when like you went to pick your dad up, which was way across the country. I was like,
Mhm.
and I put two and two together. That's
Yeah,
the one thing I wanted to ask you because I've never asked you this before is where did you come across me through an ad and then saw me on Instagram? Because I remember the first message you sent me was like in my Instagram bio. It's like it was at the time like DM me club to get started, and then I would say, hey, here's the site, here's some free resources, blah blah blah. Talk me through how I came up. If you were like, this guy is full of shit, and like what the point was where you were like, oh, just like I'll just send a message. Like what was that even like on your side? Because I don't know how this works.
yeah. I love this question because this is like one of my favorite things about how I found you was I found you on October 3rd, 2023. I remember, and I even looked back in our like Instagram. And I just saw your reel and you were talking directly to me. You were
Mm.
like, are you a Squarespace website designer and you're good at it, but your books aren't full and you want to make more money? And I was like, you might as well have said, like, do you have long brown hair and you live in Colorado with a small dog? It was just exactly what I needed to hear. And I got really excited because that was again like kind of the worst financial situation I'd ever been in my life. We had just lost our housing and we had to like emergency move to a town that we didn't necessarily really know anything about. So I had no friends and a lot of time. And I really had like a lot of motivation to kind of turn my situation around. So I think I followed you. I just was like, all right, let's see what this guy has to say. Like, I'll follow him. And you were on it. You were like, hey, thanks for the follow. I assume you found me from my reel. And I was like, yeah, it looks great. Like, your course looks awesome. And then immediately you were like, do you want to take the first module for free? And I was like, yes, I do. And you just sent it on over. And I took, I was like, again, I had nothing else to do. I was basically twiddling my thumbs. So I like started on the module, and I think I went through, you had said any big decision you should be able to make with one sleep. So then on October 4th, I messaged you back and I was like, Sam, I have had one sleep and I have purchased the course. And that was huge at the time. Like I put it on a credit card, which was like super already like strained, and
I
it was
remember.
not, yeah, it was not probably like an advisable move and choice. But I was almost kind of like, well, I kind of can't afford not to do this at this
Mhm.
point. So, and I took, your module, you gave this like a whole 10 lesson module, like a whole first chapter of the course. And I liked it, I was like, okay, this guy, it was, as I was listening to Ben's interview, this guy is not a wanker, he's definitely like,
Oh,
you,
God.
you seemed likable, you seemed generous, you seemed to know what you were doing, and what you were saying made sense, and it seemed all very actionable. So so it was like, yes, it was this feeling of just, this is what I've been looking for, this is what I want.
Amazing. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I signed up after one day.
Yeah, it's so crazy because I literally remember you like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I was like, whoa, because I think it's in module one, isn't it? I'm like, if you're going to make the same decision after a day or after like a month, so why not just do it now? And that isn't aimed at people like saying, hey, sign up after a day. Like, take your time to think, but it's more so in business. But like I remember that vividly. That's nuts. Um, and I also remember you were like, yeah, banged it on a credit card, ready to go. I was like, whoa, she's got like serious guts. And I mean, look, it's worked out. Like, for those who don't know, Kasiah and I also worked like one to one, and you put that on a credit card as well. That wasn't even long after you joined.
Mm.
Um, and I was like, okay, she's gonna go far. I can see it now. I think actually, had you even gone full time with Squarespace when you joined? Because I think you were kind of trying to juggle.
Yeah, I was full-time freelance. Like I've been a full-time, entrepreneur freelancer forever, but I was still doing all things design. And one of my bigger things was like colored pencil portraits and wood burnings of people and pets and things. And I really love them. But they also take a lot of time. It was just like so time intensive, and they had to be really expensive. And it felt like, what you get at the end is, yes, it's a beautiful piece of art, but I also felt like, I could charge the same thing for like an entire website, and it would take me a shorter time, and I would feel like I'm really giving value, because the client doesn't care if it took me 6 weeks to draw this picture. They still just get this picture at the end, and with a website, it's like, it was a little bit more tangible, and I felt like it's also just a lot more portable. I can grab my computer and go anywhere.
Yeah, and if you want to go another cross country drive, easy peasy now. Just get a dongle. You work from
Yes,
anywhere. No need for any fine art
right.
stencil. You didn't use stencils, I'm sure. I just mean like materials. Nuts. Let me have a little look what questions we've got here because
Okay,
I am terrible for going off on tangents. Let's see what we've got.
let's do
Oh,
it. I love.
this is a goodie. This is a goodie. I'm sure we'll go off on some tangents on this one. So, what are your 3 favorite things about the program?
Okay, I will start. Obviously, like the community is absolutely unmatched, but I'll come back to that. The program itself is, and this is nothing, this is not to devalue the program. It's easy. Like it's easy to go through the program, and you're an easy teacher to follow. You're likable, and everything is really, really actionable. It was like, do this and you will, have this result, do that. And, then do this. And you gave just like really easy to follow steps. And so I found that really lovely and easy to implement. Um, the other thing that I really, really love is just how many extras are packed in. It's like, I bought this online course and I took the online course, I did the stuff and it was great. But then you were like, oh, hey, and also I'm in the Facebook group every day answering your questions. And I'm going to bring in these experts to talk to you about things that maybe it doesn't have to do with Squarespace, but it has to do with like running a business or being a successful human or just like your overall health. And I even started working with Nick from Habit Finances because you had brought him in for a call. And
Yeah.
as you know, I was kind of like, well, my finances need some help. And I knew that as I was building this business and healthier finances and things, I needed a plan. And so just tangents, talk about tangents. I just found so many other experts. I consider the trifecta of Squarespace education to be you for business, Rach for like the design and coding, and then Henry for SEO. And it's like, now I have taken all of these wonderful courses or am in the process of, learning from these wonderful, just experts in the field. And all that was just because I had signed up for the course and like been in the conversation where these other resources had come up. And then, I promised I'd come back to the community. I had no idea how many amazing, generous, like collaborative people. And that's really my favorite thing about any work I've ever done is just supporting each other, whether it's, you don't have to be doing the same thing, or maybe if you are doing the same thing, but the Facebook group that you've created, I truly have like actual friends now. So it's really fun because we'll meet. There's a couple of us who meet every 2 weeks just to get together and talk about what we've learned, what we're working on, what we need help with, cool new things, tools we're using. I'll get on the phone or on a Zoom with anyone who's kind of like, hey, I'm starting out on Upwork. What should I be doing? I gotta build up my profile. And I'm no expert on Upwork, but I've had a little success. So it's like, well, hey, let's just hop on a call and talk about it. And that's been huge for me too, because now I have this bank of other colleagues that I know. So it's just a really wonderful process that, I know who does what, who specializes in what things. If I need help with something, I know who to talk to about it. And everyone is just so intensely willing to help. It's really lovely.
It's honestly, it's insane, isn't it? I think every time every time we do like a call like this, it always comes back to the community. Just, I mean, I don't know what I've done. I feel like I just set up a Facebook community, and there's two people specifically who like helped the community blossom. So there was Lee, Lee.
Oh,
She was,
lovely.
yeah, lovely Lee, and she was like, she came in. I think she's one of the first couple of people in the group, and I was like, I've never ran a group before, no idea what's going to happen. I need like people who are game to like get stuck in and just like shout. And then she did, and then we started growing and growing and growing, and then you came in, and it was like, here we go, we've got someone else who's just in here constantly helping people, asking questions. It's that sort of energy that if someone brings it to a community, they get like 100 times back. Like you to this day, so you joined in what, October 2023, was it? Has it been going that long? Wow, that's crazy. And you join then, and you are still in every single day on, either posting yourself or helping people or hopping on calls or setting up. Is it the Squarespace witches? Is it you guys? Yeah, like
The switches.
the Squarespace, yeah. And it's like I love it personally, because you almost get like, it becomes not everyone is a Squarespace designer. Some people specialize in like, so like Diane, she does Squarespace, but like does the AI stuff, like the AI headshots and imagery. Then you've got Ben, who does little bits with AI, or a lot of bits with AI. You've got people doing SEO, you've got people doing this, that, and the other. It's like, it's amazing. And so I don't think I've ever said this to you actually, but like you were one of the main catalysts for like just growing the whole thing. And I don't know, just making the community so much more vibrant and engaged. Because I feel like, I mean, you can speak as someone on the other side, but when I look at it, like, I feel like people can be a bit scared to engage, because it's like, oh, am I going to look, stupid if I ask a question? Or, oh, my camera's dead. 1 second. Oh, I'll have to use this one. This is the subsidiary camera. My cool camera's dead. Anyway, but like, I feel people can almost feel like, oh, is it cringe? And then I'm in there, 10, 20 posted, well, one post and then all the replies a day.
Yeah.
And then you come in with such energy, and it's like, yes, these are the people who get it. So yeah, thank you for that. Like, that's honestly a
Thank
game changer.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely so much fun for me. And it's funny because like I'm in the US and you guys in the UK are like what 7 hours ahead of me. And so sometimes I wake up and I know Alex, one of the other experts, who would say, don't get on your phone first thing in the morning, but I'll wake up and I'll go like straight to Facebook and straight to the six-figure design community. And then I'm like, ooh, and I'm all bleary eyed and like I can't even like see yet. And I'm like, oh, Nick posted something cool, or Ryan posted, oh, let me go see what they did. And then I'm like, oh, I gotta get out, I gotta go look at this on desktop. They posted a website. And it's just, it's the first thing I go to because it really is, it's like a feel-good space. It's like a warm and fuzzy, the Facebook group. And so I love it. I love it so much.
Do you know what? I do exactly the same. Like it's almost like its own social media platform. You
Mhm.
go in and it's just a raft of posts, and I feel like it's unique in a sense with us because you see people like actually quitting their jobs, or like you can plot someone's like you can go back to the post and you can see someone's first job, and then oh they've just done a 10K month. Oh, Ryan's on his way to quitting his job. We've got people having babies, starting families. It's like, what is going on? Like, I love it. Like, I selfishly, I'm like, I just never want this to stop. Is the best.
It's huge. Yeah, it's really, I am not exaggerating when I say it's like incredibly life-changing.
Big time, big time. And
Yeah.
on the flip side, what was, or did you even have any? What was your main fear that would have stopped you joining, or what was the doubts in your mind before you did?
Money. I mean, it was just money. I mean, I think it was a couple $1,000s when I bought it. And it was it was like an astronomical amount at the time to think about. And it was a big consideration. I remember like I called my mom, I talked to my parents and I talked to Philip, my boyfriend, and I was like, hey, like I know this might not be the greatest thing to like time to be asking about this. And like, but everybody luckily was incredibly supportive and open to it. But my really just the cost. And the things that set me at ease were, I think I had written to you and said like, hey, Sam and team. And you wrote back and you were like, well, it's just me here, but like, hi. And I was like, okay, it just seemed really legit. It seemed like you were what you said you were. And even now, like, 18 months later, you had said to me in one of the first messages, if you ever have any questions, I'll be here. And, just don't hesitate to ask, if there's something that I can help you with. And that to this day, like truly, there has not been a time that I would have reached out, and you're always there. Like you have gone so far as to, you've, remember you just like talked me out of just this huge block with one of the first sites I had started with like your program and your process. And we were doing the one-on-one mentorship and we had finished our time together. And then you were like, well, that site that's like, hanging over your head, just make me an admin. Just like, let's pop in there
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Like live on the Zoom call, you were just like, well, just maybe just pop this up here and like put this over there. And like truly like 6 minutes later, you're like, boom, okay, just start here. Start like 6 minutes. And I would have taken, because I'm like a big perfectionist and you've helped me with that. Like you don't have to custom code everything for the first draft. You don't have to build in animations, just like block it out. And that was huge because I was totally just like, well, I have to do the whole thing before I show them anything. But so, yeah, I mean, you really allayed my fears just from the day one, just saying like, well, first of all, here's the first module of the course. And second of all, just seeming very, very genuine and willing to help. So, and I'm so glad, like I have almost this retroactive panic, like, what if I hadn't signed up?
Yeah.
What if I hadn't done it? And because it was so just kind of happenstance, one day I saw it, the next day I signed up, and that was, thank goodness I did.
And honestly, that it's so crazy to think it was just like so quick. It was I mean, it's like perfect for me. Like the perfect ad is like person joins one day after. But like, yeah, imagine if you thought, I don't think that's possible, or okay, it is too much. I'm not going to do it, and then you don't. it is crazy to think, what would you be doing now? I I have no what's the word? I have no doubt that you would be like killing it anyway. But like in what way? What would the business look like? It's interesting, really interesting.
Mhm.
And this is the biggest thing for me. I don't know if you see this with other people, but like I am so wary of coming across like uh slimy or like a scammer or whatever, because you see people and it pisses me off when I'm gonna get demonetized for this. It pisses me off when like you'll see people comment on Instagram, or not even on my Instagram, but on anyone's Instagram. Like, if you sell a course, if you sell a course, you're a scammer. If you were making 50K a month, you wouldn't teach someone how to make 50K a month. And it's like, well, actually, fuck you, first of all. But then also, if I could teach like 100 people to make 50K, and then that would mean I could make 50K and then another 50K, why wouldn't I do that? What? It just doesn't make any sense. But like, I'm really happy that you said that I didn't. I come across as genuine, because I actually don't blame people. You may have had ads in the past. I have as well, where people are like, look at the Rolex. I mean, this isn't even a Rolex, but like, look at the Rolex. Like, you can have financial freedom, blah, 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 blah. And it just comes across as so disingenuous. So sometimes it almost feels like you're fighting a losing battle, because there's so many people who are just full of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think first of all, to that comment of like, if you were so successful, why would you have a course teaching other? What a weird take that if you are successful, that you shouldn't help other people. Like, what a strange, like, that's on them. That's such a weird assumption that your success is the only thing that matters and that you wouldn't maybe want to share that with other people. And I do think that I have a very, like, I almost have like a spidey sense for teachers, and I can tell if you're full of shit. And I will not spend money. Like, I'm very skeptical. I know, at that time, especially, I was like on a super tight budget. It was a big deal. It was like a really big decision. But you did not set off any of my red flags of like, well, this guy's a scam artist, or the fact that you had a course was always presented as just like, hey, this worked for me. I think it could work for you. I know it could work for you. And it was just out of like, hey, I want you to succeed. Like, we support, it's that whole collaborative essence of the Squarespace community, that we want to help each other. We want to know what's up in each other's lives and in each other's businesses. And how can we, support that? How can we be like a collaborative piece of the pie?
And it's worked. Like, everyone is like, no, surely there's no more work. Like, if one more person joins, there'll be no work for all of us. And the thesis that I had, which is like, all of us can easily make 10K plus a month and still all get that income, no matter how many of us come through the door. It's
Mhm.
holding true so far, and we've got like, I think we're coming up on 200 students, 200 paying students. Like, there is room for all of us, and I
Yeah.
mean, you're testament to that. So many other people are testament to that. I want to talk about, though, where you are now. So we went through the backstory, which was sick. Like, I still can't believe Subaru across the country is just nuts. Um, but yeah, like, talk me through, because first of all, I want to talk about like post when we done one-to-one, because I remember that was a huge uplift. That was like, I feel like you're like going across a threshold. It was like from old life to new life, and then sort of talk me then through the last sort of year where you are now, why you booked the call in. Obviously, the trophies coming in the post, and then I think we'll close on that one, because I think that will be a really good place to end it.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things that I've implemented this year that have been a really big change. Um, because there was a mindset before of just take whatever you can get. just like take the work. And certainly for like my years on the road and kind of like just being new in town and just kind of getting my feet wet, that was kind of the ethos, was like, well, if somebody needs you to do a job, just figure it out and do it and get paid. But really just this year, I have implemented, like, I don't do things I don't like doing, and I don't do things that I'm not that great at, So I have been really careful to, because I have this wonderful community of people now, I've curated a little list of like what everyone does. So if I need copywriting, I suck at copywriting. I could probably do it and it would take me so long and I get real frustrated. So now I just call Michelle, and Michelle Crumpler of Word Wrangler Web Design does any copywriting that I need. And she does an incredible job, like way better than I could have ever done, even if I took a long time to do it. And she does it fast. So that's one of the things that I've really started doing. So like my client gets better work. I don't have to do stuff I don't like. My colleagues get more work. That's been huge. The last thing, one of the last things I'll say is that one of the things that I've started to do is make a directory of anyone that I meet with to talk about Upwork. I just get their name, I get their website, I get their kind of like approximate price range. And then I'll tell them, like, do you want work? Like, will you just kind of take on anything at this point? Do you kind of have like a price range that you want to stay within? And then when I meet with a client, if it's not a good fit for whatever reason, whether it's budget, whether it's skill or whatever, they need me to do, I try very hard not to leave them with nothing. I try very hard not to say like, well, sorry, we can't work together, like find somebody else. I will say, okay, it sounds like, maybe if it's not a great fit with me, let me send you to either, I'll send them the whole directory of,
Yeah.
these are the folks, and I have them kind of listed in order from like maybe lowest price to highest price. But or I'll just send them the one person or two people that I know if they really need copywriting, or if they really need, video work. I'll send them to Chris in Northern Ireland if
Yeah.
they're also in Northern Ireland, so it's like we know what each other does. But having that directory has really helped me too. If I like, let's say there's a client who has a budget that just isn't really viable with what I can do for them, instead of taking it on and pulling my hair out for,
Mm.
4 weeks for like pennies, I'll say, okay, this is something that will help you. It'll help my colleague. It'll help me. And then I can move on to the next project. So that's been really helpful. So the place I'm at now feels a lot more abundance mindset, and versus the scarcity mindset of like, take everything on and work yourself to the bone and stay up until 2 a.m. because this client is like super nitpicky, even though they've only paid you 25 cents, and that kind of thing. But it's true. You've said that, as you get into clients with higher budgets, they are less picky, they are more pleasant, they need less, they demand less. And I think that they also really respect that you can lead the project and you know what you're doing, and maybe your suggestions are decent and founded. so I think, yeah, I will end by saying that just my sense of self is so much more positive now. And I didn't like feeling like all of my beliefs about the world and about myself were getting squashed when I was like, it is all about money. That is all that people care about, and that's all that they're valuing you on. And I just really didn't like that feeling. And I feel now it's unfortunate, because it's like I needed a little bit more money to get out of that mindset. But I do feel a lot more stable and comfortable, and like it's a sense of safety. And also just a sense of options. Poor Philip has supported this endeavor for 18 months now. He hasn't barely seen me, so I want to be realistic about, it takes some work, but I think at this point, I'm starting to feel like we can start to build in a little bit more balance. We can start to get back to trail running like we want to, like we've always loved to do, and doing some things outside of desk work, because I've just done a lot of desk work, but I really, really love it. And I think that's part of why I'm willing to do it. But yeah, you got to have a little bit of balance eventually. So
I
I'm
love,
willing to build that in.
yeah, honestly, like I remember how much work you put in behind the scenes. You would message me, hey, it's 2 a.m. But I'm just working on like making this logo rotate, or whatever it was. It was like I'm deep in this styling, and it was like daily, and I've been the same. I would go. My inspiration comes early in the morning, so I'd be getting up at like 3 a.m. You're still up at what, 2 a.m. or whatever. But whoa, this is a crazy crossover. But I am taking a leaf out of your book. Like this year, far more trips, doing the things that you love, like going for lunch, going out for a run, in playing more sports, or getting out in the sun. Just it makes it so worth it. Like the desk work is actually fun in and of itself, but there's almost also a means to an end where it's like I'm putting in all of this work so I can live the life that I want. Like you said, from a point of abundance, you, the the beauty of being able to turn down work. I mean, what a great position that is. I love that, and I love that. It's been tough 18 months, but now it's like, right, well, I can design a life that I want. That's amazing. And my closing question is usually like, what's next? But I guess more life is what's next, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like the New Year's like lead up to the planning your new year. I really had such a strong foundation from what I learned in the course and what we'd done on the one-on-one mentoring that I was kind of like, well, it's nothing new. It's just keep doing the same thing. Keep, pitching when you can. And I have to say, I always say, don't tell Sam, but I don't have to pitch
Yeah.
much, like I really don't. But even though for the first 6 to 9 months, I was pitching like an hour a day, like split up into those at least three segments, and but yeah, I think at this point I am very comfortable saying like, oh, just keep your foot on the gas and keep building. But I think just keep doing what you're doing is kind of the prescription for this year, and just start to sneak in little bits of time away from work. Because I think when I first met you, I said something like, what success will feel like. And I defined it on like how I would feel, but it was kind of things like, well, I get to see my family. And, I live in Colorado. No other members of my family live in this state, and the US is really big. So it's like people on different coasts and you have to fly there. And, yeah, I just thought about, well, I want to be able to see my family. I wanted to go see my dad, who is now 92, who
Hey.
will like move out here to live with us for a while. Now he's bouncing around my siblings, so he's like living with all of us. But yeah, just having the sense of I can do the things that I would like to do in my life. And that's a huge, that's not always possible when you're strapped for money, or when you don't have the resources that you need, or you don't feel safe. Being able to do the things that you want to do in your life is like, that's a huge deal.
Honestly, it's the biggest deal. I mean, it should be a bloody human right to be able to do everything you want in life, and unfortunately, it's not. But it's like, I want to say it's beautiful that like you can do this. Like it's amazing, and I'm so happy for you. Honestly,
Thank
you
you.
deserve it. You deserve it.
I'm so grateful. I'm so glad that you popped onto my little Instagram. Like, do you want to make more money on Squarespace? Yeah.
I was waiting until that came through. That bloody accent. Oh, good grief.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, you'll get there. You got to practice like wanker, wanker.
All right. I think I need to get out of here and take some overseas trips so I can really get the proper accent.
Oh, bloody hell. Love that. If anyone wants to find you, if anyone wants to hire you to do a website, where will they find you?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. My first name, Kasiah.com, and happy to help.
Well, hey, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.